My name is Robin Marantz Hennig. I wrote a book with my daughter Samantha Hennig called 20-something.
And I'm Samantha Hennig. I co-wrote 20-something with my mother.
The benchmarks for adulthood, the 5 milestones that I talked about in the book, are traditional milestones, things like growing up and getting out of your house, finishing your education, marrying, having children. They're not all even met by young adults growing up these days.
You can't suddenly have, be married and have a home and feel really stable in where you're living and also feel like you're really doing well in your career.
I don't think it's necessarily a problem because it's just become the new normal. It's also kind of inevitable for adults to worry about whether their kids are growing up quickly enough and well enough.
People sort of chip away at one part or another, and you might be, doing great in your career at one point, but you feel like your love life is a mess.
People used to worry about that in my day. The parents of baby boomers tended to ask whether the baby boomers were taking too long to grow up.
Sometimes it's helpful to have the benchmarks as a way of seeing like the whole picture and seeing that even though this one part you feel like you're completely lost on, there are these other things that you are sort of moving ahead with.
Well, my daughter Samantha and her sister's use of social media allow me a new way to worry about them.
My mom and I have been struggling a little recently with our social media dynamic.
A lot of my friends are like this too. We don't really know if we should be commenting on the posts that we see on their Facebook pages or if we should be responding to something that they tweeted.
She is liking my Facebook photos. She is tweeting at me.
But I'm glad that I'm considered their Facebook friend because, at some level they know that I'm there watching too.
I can sometimes feel like she's everywhere. I do think that social media really exacerbates the fear of missing out. You feel this need to keep tabs on everything, and you can keep tabs on everything.
With social media, it's much more intense and much more concentrated and happening at a much faster pace.
There are always other options that you're missing out on.
When you think you might be missing out on something, it's actually there as evidence that, in fact, you are. You get to see the Facebook pictures or Instagram pictures of whatever's happening right then.
I do think that 20-somethings today have a particularly hard time with the idea of closing any doors. But I also think that that's sort of what makes the 20s as a time interesting. That really is the time when you do have to start closing doors and making choices. And you just can't do everything. It's impossible.